All right, Crystal, what are you showing us here?
So today I want to demo kind of the Vanta platform, mostly focusing on our vendor risk management module.
Hmm.
I wanted to just really give the audience a general idea of kind of what Vanta looks like, what we do.
All right, awesome.
So what you see on my screen is just kind of the Vanta platform. One of the things I always like to start off with folks is kind of what are the four pillars of Vanta and just like lead us into the demo.
Okay.
So when we think about Vanta, we really are what we call a trust management platform. Pillar one, we offer automated compliance. So we offer over 37 frameworks out of the box that deal with just compliance and security in general.
So the idea is you can match what's out there with the existing framework.
Exactly. And as they come in, there's more frameworks that will continue to add over time. But like we want to make sure that we have a full depth and breadth of frameworks available to our customers.
May I assume when I see this 44%, 6%, 13, and 13, that means like we've made 44% matches compliance, something like that? What am I seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you see here is just kind of the frameworks in bright purple that we have unlocked. So this would be just for any of our customers to say like they want to unlock these three. This is your completion towards progress on submitting evidence that your auditor will be able to look at. So if you look at something here like high trust here, that 44% means you're 44% of the way to completing all of your evidence gathering for your auditor to come in and start doing their review.
Ah, excellent. Okay.
And then down here, you start to see kind of these light purple ones. These are ones you don't have access to as a customer. You can unlock these, but we like to show kind of across all frameworks, like where you're at, right? So if you're at 44% high trust in this case, for the AI Act, you're at 13%. So if you wanted to unlock that, you're 13% of the way to actually completing a framework. So this is kind of our general platform. Again, we focus on automated compliance, continuous GRC. So we want to make sure as you go into this and you start uploading that evidence that it's not just a one-time thing, right? We'll run tests in the background. We'll do a bunch of things that you might see a little bit more seamlessly. But the idea is you're out of spreadsheets. You've got a single pane of glass to be able to view all of your frameworks, all of your evidence, all of your tests kind of in one platform.
All right. So what do you want to show within this?
So first, I want to start off kind of just talking about like vendor management in general. One of the things we like to really focus on from a vendor risk management perspective is like, hey, what are you using? What vendors are you using on a regular basis within your own tech stack environment? And so what we like to do is we like to do what we call integrations. So I'll actually come down to this page. So the way Vanta operates is when we connect with you and we kind of start working with you in this platform, we first like to get an idea of what your tech stack is. And your tech stack kind of drives what we can connect to in a read-only fashion and start running tests against, right? So think about, for example, if you have an identity provider such as Google or Amazon or anything like that, there's a variety of tests that we can run in the background as it pertains to meeting compliance. So things like, are you doing vulnerability scanning? Do you have multi-factor authentication involved? But it really starts in this area. And Vanta has over 375 integrations. We are continually adding and building to those, but that's really the core of where we can start pulling in some of these vendors, especially these managed vendors, are the ones that we do in like a discovery mode, to really start like identifying what are the current risks that those vendors are offering us, and then we can break down like how we do risk treatments and stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and pop into kind of like this managed vendors aspect.
Please do me a favor. Like I always say, like what is like the coolest aspect of, I guess, the managed vendors, like you really want to show off here too?
Yeah, absolutely. So the ability to discover through integrations who your vendors are, like coming into a platform like this, and especially in this managed vendors aspect, these are all the ones that like we've been able to identify that you're using, especially if we click on this discovery tab. This is going to like really pull in certain things that is going to tell you, like, from an integration perspective, like these are things that we're starting to see just within your vendors. And as you kind of go through this, like right now it's just showing the one ZipRecruiter just in this demo framework, but you can kind of add this vendor or ignore it to your kind of managed vendors list. And in this managed vendors list, you can really see the status of like, hey, have I done a review on this? What is the state of it? Does it need a security review? Is it in progress? When's the next one review? And when was the last time we reviewed it? So it's really key, a good area just to see like, hey, these are all the vendors that I'm seeing that Vanta has been able to capture. But you can also identify, is there anything that's missing? And do I need to actually go in here and add an additional vendor as necessary? The idea is you pull all these vendors in. You can start to do like a bunch of just, what do I have? What do I need to do? What is the like security aspect around that? But there's a couple other things that I think are important as well. We've added recently kind of this procurement request thing. So really the idea here is you can link this to how you do your procurement process. You can tie these to certain things like maybe a Jira task or any other task for certain other vendors, where you can say like, hey, the process of actually procuring a vendor, how do I go about doing it? How do I add a procurement request and like add a new vendor to it, tie it to a specific owner to be able to kind of go through this? But we just like to add just little things that we think will help a customer kind of just go through and understand what their own practices are behind vendor risk management. So one of the things I kind of want to pop in here is, let's go into kind of just security reviews. And I'm going to pick a random one. Actually, I had one on here I wanted to see. So 1Password, a lot of folks obviously use this vendor. They usually typically have a lot of information out there already, but I wanted to show folks like what does it look like when it's a managed vendor that you've brought into the Vanta platform, and you're just really starting kind of your journey as to seeing like, how do I review this? What information should I gather? So if I pop over here just to security reviews, I'm going to open up a current review. Again, this is a demo environment, so we're not really too worried about a lot of the stuff that's in here. But as you can see, there's a couple of documents that we've already got in here. SOC 2 report, there's a security white paper that might have just been pulled from maybe the 1Password website. But some of the things I wanted to add in here is the Vanta platform will allow you to request evidence from your vendors. So if you click on this add button, you can see this kind of request from vendor aspect, and it allows you to request specific documents. So let's say I wanted to do like a penetration test report, and maybe we talked about this earlier, just like a random questionnaire. Let's do a Vanta questionnaire, right? What this does is if you have the point of contact, you can send this as an email to that point of contact, and essentially says like, however you want to kind of write this message. Hey, I need this list of evidence from you. Can you upload them to a certain link, right? So you can send that email. But other things you can do is you can take this link, and this will open another page. And that link will essentially say like, hey, I'm going to send you this message. It'll have an upload link attached. You can click on that link and just directly upload it into the customer's platform.
And this would go right into this spot right
exactly. Here. So if I wanted to send 1Password a 1Password rep a message with the link and said, hey, I need these 3 documents, it'll provide them the link. They can go in there, they click on that link. It's only sent to that specific person, and then they can upload the documents as necessary. You can also preview it. There's just a couple options in here that I think are important. And then as those questions or those documents start to come in, you'll start to see, like if we pop over here to the security questionnaires, you'll start to see our Vanta kind of artificial intelligence, where it starts to parse some of these documents that we've collected. So down here, as we look at, there's some built-in questions that we have just for our AI to ask about or to parse any document that has been uploaded. And it'll start just asking just kind of some random stuff. Does 1Password have access controls in place? So if I just click on that, it's going to parse through the documents and look for anything around access control to answer this question. And the idea here is, instead of you having to kind of manually go through this entire document, it's going to pull this information out for you and then kind of pop it over here to show you like, hey, 1Password does have access controls in place. And it'll start answering those questions. But then if you're curious, down here towards the bottom, it'll reference where it's pulling that data from. So it's just kind of a more efficient way to kind of go through these documents without having to read, say, I don't know, a 30, 40, maybe 50 plus page SOC 2 report or anything else manually. So it's just a good idea, good way to just pull in this type of data. You could also search for like keywords. So I'll just put in MFA for multi-factor authentication. And again, it's asking if 1Password supports multi-factor authentication. Same thing, you'll get an answer over here. In this case, it generally just says yes, and then it will give you kind of a summarized version and then provide the references down here. Now, let's say, for example, there's a question you might want to ask it that isn't part of our built-in environment. You also have the ability to come here and just ask a question, right? Or maybe you just couldn't find it, right? So if I wanted to say something about, let's just say incident response, or just say incident, and let it do its search, and you'll see the Vanta AI is doing in the background, kind of scrolling through all of the documents that have been uploaded to find anything. In this case, unfortunately, it did not find anything about incident response, so we might have to find a better one here. But just at a high level, if you have a question about any specific document that's been uploaded, you have the option to be able to come in here and kind of ask that question and see if the
Rather
AI
than
can
having to
help.
read the whole darn thing.
Exactly. That's kind of the real value add.
Is this a good summary that we've seen of all of this right here?
One other thing I'd like to add, based off the answer you see, you can decide if you want to flag this as a finding. If you flag it as a finding, you can start going through some of your risk treatment options, right? Do you want to accept the risk? Do you want to mitigate it? Do you just want to say like, hey, right now I'm not sure, right? You can kind of go through this process. It'll give you a good kind of overview, which is, totally something you can edit. And then you can add that finding. What it will do is it will flip over here to findings and you'll start to see like, hey, these are a list of findings that I've already kind of gone through. And you can kind of click on some of these individual. You'll see some of the stuff already that you might have already put in. But I think one of the key things here is you can link this to risk scenarios. So out of the box, Vanta is going to offer just various risk scenarios for you to link things through. So this is a good way to tie your vendor risk management and your just enterprise risk management together.
That is very cool.
It's pretty awesome.
Thank you very much for all of this, Crystal. If you want to delve even deeper or get a chance to play around with all this, you got to go talk to Vanta over there. The web address to do just that is right here. Please go check it out. Thank you so much, Crystal, for showing us the Vanta platform.
No problem. Thank you for having me.